All right. Okay, 20 some minutes left. All right. Well, this one's totally worth it. All right. So Pearl Davis did her did another interview with Pierce Morgan. So it's very important that fans of Pearl Davis know what's about to happen to Pearl. Uh, the woman, now, a lot of you will look this lady up and you won't find really probably anything much about her that will clue you in. Louise Menshugana, I like saying it. She's one of these people who one of her first targets was Jack Posobiec. And so she's the type of person. So she would go after Jack Posobiec, and I'm betting that she dug and dug and dug, trying to find, like some girl he was with or something like that. But it's really she was fascinated by him and probably very attracted to him, and it's that simple. Like, people like her are so crazy, it becomes really obvious what's going on with them if you think, what would kind of a shallow, crazy, like somebody who shouldn't have a job in intelligence and propaganda, what would they do? What would they do with, like some scheming yenta who is like sitting there going like, oh, I bet I could get the dirt on him, and stuff, like some theater kid. She's one of these, I swear, theater kid occupied government is so real. Like, so many of these people, that's what's going on. So something is up when either Sacha Baron Cohen shows up or somebody like Louise Mensch. Isn't it weird that there's kind of a pattern? Just saying. So she's on Pierce Morgan, so is Pearl Davis, talking about Russell. And so in discussing him, one of the things so Louise Mensch was like, I totally believe what these women said. Their interview sounded, so of course these are accusations. These aren't even allegations, because allegations, this would be alleged, meaning that there's some kind of legal record when what these people are going to do. And so Pearl nailed it. Pearl nailed it into the stands immediately. Pearl nailed it. This looks like a pattern. This follows the pattern of people coming out and accusing men who are influential. Now, Pearl forgot all the many people this applies to. This applies to Bill Cosby, who Bill Cosby started basically criticizing the black leftist culture of bastardy and being a hoe and always letting these hoes say whatever and letting the kids do whatever. He stood up against this, so they had to discredit him. Now, of course, no matter how much they might want to, they really can't, because he's, of course, one of the most accomplished black entertainers in the history of the race. So you can't really, there's just a certain amount of shame that might be in his game, but it's like, well, who goes to take dope late at night with a black comedian? I don't know, hoes? Yeah, so that's how that story goes. We just don't want to think of women in those times as fucking hoes. So it's, now the next thing is this. Then it's the golden president, accusing the golden president of all kinds of sexual misconduct. What happened with that? Oh, a lot of these bitches ended up losing money. They ended up having to pay his rent. And then they finally found some way by which they could get him to pay money to some woman who he never even met in his life. They never even physically had any contact with one another, nor were in each other's presence, apparently, ever. There's no real anything that ever came up saying that that Trump and that one lady were even physically in each other's presence at any time. She just made some shit up. And so then there was this fantastic thing of, yeah, we could sue him because we made shit up that he said didn't happen. And he gave you the sads. So let's just fucking sue him. What's it? Who else? Oh, there's a few others. But no, Manshugana is one of those people who shows up, and you better keep your lawyer paid. What I would suggest to Pearl Davis, if Louise Mensch shows up, make sure your parents, their lawyers are okay. Manshugana is the type of fucking Shylock bitch who shows up before people sue your family, sue their businesses, start running your name through the fucking dirt. She's really like, she's totally an operator. I think she's married to some guy who has an association with MI6 or something, like some high-level UK security office or something like that. Louise Mensch is one of these people who always hears accusations that she thinks are very credible. Now, she's a nobody. Nobody thinks Louise Mensch and her statements are the statements of a well-informed, smart person from Britain who happens to just have the last name Mensch. Just happens to have. And so she just accuses people of things on social media and then fails upwards. And so she's moved into some kind of UK parliamentary position. And really, if the big one was Jack Posobiec, she had something up her ass about him. And, yeah. So, I mean, she's one of these people like Sacha Baron Cohen. And so you can't criticize her, or she does. She will turn to saying, and really, you could criticize her completely substantively. And when you nail her, you suddenly become an anti-Semite. And it's the same pattern over and over and over again. I love that Pearl brought this up. I swear, it's one of those moments where, what's the Talmud? And when she said that was so adorable, Pearl. I just love her for that. What? I don't understand this. Why my chat's saying something about something called the Talmud? I don't know what that is. What is that? Oh, cute. Oh. Oh, you're so fair and red-haired. These people finally got the kick. They finally got kicked. Damn, this place is hurt. Wow. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I don't need to spend more money on a house on a place I'm not terribly concerned with. I got enough problems. So, but yeah, that's, who else? Because there was more people than this. Oh, Tate, of course, the Tates. But so the other thing I was thinking, what this is leading me to believe is that this time there is going to be, and YouTube jumping in. That's what it was. YouTube jumping in on this. That was so obviously coordinated. So obviously coordinated. You know that it was, this is all they all do this. The typists and the leftists, because YouTube is a leftist company that really answers to the Pentagon. And Hillary Clinton is on the board of like Alphabet, Google. So that's why they were crying, because they were crying because their boss. Really think about this. These leftist pieces of shit were crying over Hillary Clinton losing because Hillary Clinton's their boss. That's why they were crying. That's just unbelievably fucking sad. That's where they're at now. They're like, we can't have mom boss running the country, because they knew what was up. They knew that this was going to allow them to have a totally endless budget, but it was probably going to put some people who work for Google and Alphabet and all that in charge of the FCC, and they were going to go full full, waffen, info waffen on everybody. Ultra Gestapo, ultra mega tech, big tech Gestapo style on everyone, because that's the kind of people they are. And so now they have to go after the reputation of influencers. And so I would also figure that they're probably going to legally try to go after companies like Rumble and X, trying to say like, oh, you guys are spreading all information they don't like, making them look bad, for being dummies and commies and wimps and freaks. And but yeah, that's the thing with Menshugana. Menshugana is one of these types that basically one of these people who's one of these irreligious atheist Jews who just hates white people and hates Christians, and like she just hates the Western world. So she's one of these people who thinks that like she and a bunch of other women should just rebuild the Western world the way they want, because they just know things. If they just did it my way, it'd be like so much better. And and that's really the way I see it. That's really what's up here. And of course, it won't be rebuilt the way that they want. It will be rebuilt the way their paymasters want, and they'll go along with it because, like Pearl says, they'll agree to anything. So, yeah, so Pearl needs to get ready because they've got their sights on her now. They've sent out one of their clumsiest, buffoonish ninja. And I mean, really, it's kind of that kind of character. Like, it's like a buffoonish villain. Like they sent out, like, Toad or the Blob to watch somebody. Imagine, like, the Blob in, like, an overcoat, like, following you, trying to keep tabs on you. Like, I think that's the Blob, So, all right, late.